Welcome, guys, to another episode of Seen and Unseen. I am Edgar Eck, and today, as always, we cross the line. As I promised last time, in this episode we will address the topic of portals. Usually, whenever we're thinking of portals, we have Doctor Strange type of portals in our heads. You've probably seen a portal open in some horror movies as well. So when we have the image of a portal in our heads, we usually think of a circle that opens the door to another dimension. You can just move from one geographical location to another through a magical circle. Well, unfortunately, looking from demonological and historical perspectives, this is not what a portal actually is. Although I understand that realistically showing that in a movie can be complicated. So in this episode, I will speak of three main categories of portals: object portals, geographical portals, and psychological and spiritual portals, which we open without even realizing that ourselves sometimes. Now, to understand what a portal is, imagine a radio receiver. The portal is when a certain spiritual conditions causes a demonic entity to tune in into your life. Tune in terms of radio receiver analogy, of course. If the tuning is correct, through rituals, trauma, or historical saturation, the connection becomes active and the bridge is created. Let's look at one example of how ancient people used to tune in into the spiritual realm, how they would cross the line by creating a portal through an object. So, in ancient times, people would carve a statue of wood and stone to worship and pray to. They are also better known as idols. Now, the trick is that in ancient people's minds, they were not actually worshipping the statue, the idol itself. The way it worked was a specific person, or a group of people, for example, would perform a ritual or pray occult prayers in order to attach a deity, a spirit, to that specific object. In other words, they were not praying to the object necessarily. They were worshipping the spirit behind the object. Thus, an object for them was a portal into the unseen realm, a portal through which they prayed and worshipped the spirit, a portal through which they connected to the spirit. In modern times, objects are still used as portals. Like Solomon said in the book of Proverbs, there is nothing new under the sun. A cursed object, or something that was used in some occult magical practices, function as mediums, as portals through which a demonic entity is invited into your home and your life. Simply by having or keeping such objects in your home, you are automatically opening a portal into your house. For example, there was once a case of a man who bought a very old mirror in some antique store. He thought the frame of the mirror and the mirror itself, its size, was extremely beautiful and he just had to have it in his house. Little did he know that this mirror, as he later found out, was used in some occult ritualistic practices. And of course, lo and behold, as soon as he brought the mirror home, strange things started happening in his house. He personally, with fear in his eyes, told me the story of how he was looking at himself in the mirror, and his reflection in the mirror actually moved a finger or a hand just a tiny bit, although he himself wasn't moving an inch. So you do not need to curse or perform a ritualistic occult practice over an object for it to have an effect on you. In other words, just by having or keeping such objects without realizing how they had been used in the past already makes you a target. So that is the conversation about objects. Now moving on, the geographical portals function in a similar way, although they are a little bit more complicated. In a nutshell, a geographical portal is a place where the veil between the seen and the unseen has been pulled, and you can practically smell the other side. Those geographical portals can be both demonic and godly. For example, in Genesis 28, Jacob wakes from his dream of the ladder and declares, "This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven." A portal, in this sense, is an encounter site, a place where the presence of God is so concentrated that the barrier between human reality and the divine is removed. But as I said, those portals or encounter places can also be demonic in nature. Rituals like Mithras liturgy, which you can find in the ancient texts of Greek magical papyri, describe a process where the practitioner prepares himself through intense purification and the use of magical words to open the heavens and ascend to a higher realm. Those practices were usually done in specific sacred religious places too, like ziggurats, which were massive pyramid-like structures built by the ancient civilizations of Mesopotamia. Those buildings, called ziggurats, function mainly as sites for religious practices, sacrifices, etc. By the way, the reason a lot of ancient buildings are in the shape of a pyramid is because in the minds of ancient people, a pyramid represented a mountain, and a mountain was a place where God or a deity dwelled. All of these religious practices in these ziggurats, or pyramid-like temples, were done to blur the line between the seen and the unseen world, to create a portal and have a connection with, an encounter with, the divine, the supernatural, the unseen. And that was done either through some rituals, dark magic, or some pagan religious practices that was performed there. What we're talking about here are historically famous and significant religious places, but geographical portals can be opened in any given location. Have you ever seen those videos where people go into abandoned places, cemeteries, abandoned prisons, and hospitals in search of the paranormal encounters? Well, first of all, that's the dumbest thing that you can do. But the reason those places are so famous for paranormal encounters is because the door into the supernatural can also be opened through occult practices performed anywhere, in any building and in any place. If a satanic or occult ritual has been performed in a certain house, that house is now a place where someone before you opened a portal through which demonic entities entered. However, occult is not the only method by which a portal into the supernatural can be opened. See, my friends, the best way to understand portals in general is to think about the environment. Take a flower, for example. It needs sun, light, water, right? It's the perfect environment for the flower to grow and stay beautiful, correct? Conditions and environment in demonology is the key to understanding the connection, or lack thereof, of course, between people and demonic spirits. Now, what does that have to do with geographical portals? Because a place which has a history of, for example, tragic deaths, sorrow, pain, violence, godlessness, what do you think? Is that a good environment for demons to live in? 100%. This comfort zone is the perfect recipe for unconsciously opening a portal in a particular place. That is exactly why those places with history of violence, tragic death, sorrow, and so on are the actual living, breathing portals through which demons enter, simply because they feel like home. Abandoned hospitals, prisons, asylums, I doubt those places are filled with beautiful and holy history. So every time you want to go to an abandoned place like that, keep in mind, at some point in time, the environment was so ungodly, spiritually speaking, that it naturally created a comfortable zone for demons to live in. Which brings me to the third and final chapter of this entire episode. Besides objects and geographical portals, there are also emotional, psychological portals, through which, using the radio analogy, demons tune in into your life. When we talk about a comfortable place for demons to live in, and comfortable places for them which open portals, it is important to mention, guys, that it is not limited to geographical places and locations alone. Trauma, depression, spiritual weakness, denial and rejection of God, unrepentant sin, sinful lifestyle, all of these factors are magnets which automatically draw demons in. They automatically open portals into your own personal life. Like I said in the beginning, it is not a portal like you see in movies. A spiritual portal, again, is like that example with a radio receiver, where a certain spiritual conditions causes a demonic entity to tune in into your life. So let's say gradually reducing your prayer life, reading of the Bible or Christian discipline, engaging and enjoying a sinful lifestyle. These are the factors which pull down the veil between the seen and the unseen. A lot of people think you have to be involved in the occult or some shady spiritual practice to invite demons into your life. In reality, that's not even necessary. You just need to live without God. That's all it takes to open up a portal for demons to reach you through. So, my dear friends, to sum up this entire episode, there are 3 types of portals, or places of encounter with the demonic. Number 1, that's objects. How through objects, which are cursed or have been used in some occult practices, a portal is created, a portal through which demonic entities enter. Number 2, geographical locations. Those can be strong religious and ritualistic places like ziggurats, pyramids, and so on. They can also be places of great spiritual weight, like former prisons, asylums, hospitals, graveyards, etc. A portal which has been created due to the ungodly, comfortable environment where demons can easily dwell. And number 3, your own personal spiritual portals, which you create through godless, sinful lifestyle. Of course, guys, as you can probably tell, this is the information about portals in a nutshell, basically. If you'd like me to expand on one particular portal or situation which can create a portal, please let me know in the comments and I will be more than happy to make a separate episode on that one particular case or object. Now, my friends, if you are serious about moving past the surface level and understanding the actual mechanics of exorcism, spiritual warfare, and the true legal boundaries of the unseen realm, as always, the doors to my seen and unseen community are open. Inside my community, you can find real, verified field case studies from my 15 years of research, access step-by-step training modules, and get direct, raw answers from me personally. The link is right down in the description below. In our next episode, we are addressing the topic of telekinesis. I will address such questions as what it is not, is it real, is it fake? So I will be talking about telekinesis from a demonological and exorcistic perspective. For now, my dear friends, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we have crossed the line. Keep your eyes open. This was Seen and Unseen, and I will see you in the next episode.